Hey guys, what's going on? I'm here with Derek from HP Race Development, and we wanted to come before you guys today with a little bit of preview show before the Outdoor Nationals start this weekend. So, Derek, how you doing today?
Good, man. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. So, kind of before we start, the biggest news of the offseason was that Ryan Dungey was coming back. We didn't get Jeffrey Hurlings. Unfortunately, we lost him to injury. There was rumors that he was coming back, but we also got Antonio Cairoli from the MXGP series. So, coming into this season, are those guys kind of your biggest storyline, or do you think that the American guys are going to kind of run them out of the building?
Yeah, it's amazing storylines, like you mentioned. That's the right word for this. We have the former top guys of Europe and the US coming back into racing, really not that far off of form. I think Dungey's more of a question mark, but
Mhm.
Caroli is 1 year removed from winning GPs and being up in the hunt. So he can't be that far off of his, good pace. So that's an amazing storyline. But on the flip side of that, the sport always rolls on. So they're going to have to compete against the likes of Ferandis and Tomac, and we'll see where Anderson shakes down. And then, of course, Sexton, who is really fast. And then the biggest unknown of the outdoor series will be, in my opinion, Ken Roxon. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Ken Roxon is going to be that total wild card. I mean, everybody's seen the interview with Jason Wygant from Racer X, where Roxon says he's coming back and he's feeling good again and how he's gotten over those demons. But I mean, we've heard this before, and we saw him come out, dominate A1, and then just drop off a cliff and then just become completely uncompetitive by round four. So I'm curious to see kind of how that stamina is. So who do you think is going to be the two guys battling for the top spot? Do you think it's Ferrandis, maybe Tomac because he's coming off the MCL injury, or is it Anderson carrying that form from Supercross?
I don't think you can. I think Ferrandis is going to be on form. He'll be just like he was last year, which essentially was the most dominant guy.
Mhm.
I think all the top couple guys had the same speed last year, like just one lap speed and 5 lap fitness was all good. But he was so good late in the motos last year. And if he can carry that through this year, which he's been rested, hasn't had to beat himself up in the latter part of Supercross and has
Mhm.
had that stress removed, I think he's going to be the guy to beat again. He's carrying that number one plate. He came over here to win, and I think that's what he wants to do. Can Tomac challenge him? Yes. When he's on form, he's lethal.
Mhm.
But we don't know about the knee injury coming in, and he says he's good to go and that it just needs time. So as long as he doesn't tweak it early on, he can challenge that speed. And he looks happy. He looks healthy. He's all the things he needs to be, right, to be successful. So those two, I think, are the prime movers. Anderson has never really had a standout outdoor year. I think
Yeah.
he even mentioned he's never won an overall. So for us to expect him to go from not winning an overall, he's won motos, but not winning an overall, to becoming a championship, not just contender, but winner, is a huge stretch, in my opinion, despite the fact that I think he's riding better than ever.
That's one of the weird things about moto is that sometimes it just comes out when you're not expecting it. I don't think any of us saw Anderson winning multiple races this year. I mean, I made a prediction earlier in the year that Kawasaki wasn't going to win a race, and I look
Right.
stupid.
He was so good early in Supercross that we just assume that he's happy in the bike.
Mhm.
But we just don't know for outdoors. He has very limited time on that. And it is an all new bike to him from many years on a steel frame KTM group bike. So he might be really happy, but still learning it. And it'll take him a couple rounds to tell the team, hey, I need to adjust this or I need to adjust that. He won't know yet.
Absolutely.
Any
To a
dark
couple,
horses for you?
yeah, I was
Like
about
any
to ask
just,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah, okay. Who do you got?
I think my question for you is going to be Joey Savacci because coming out of the weirdest season where he was injured early, then he sat out, was planning to come back, and then his team folded. We still don't know if the former Rocky Mountain ATV team is coming back. I've heard that they might come back under an alternate name with a couple privateer guys and just kind of some outliers, but I don't think they'll be very competitive. Savacci's on a factory bike. It's the same factory bike that he was on in 2019 before he got sacked. So, do we see him contending for podiums? I don't think I could say race wins. I think a race win for Savacci is a career year, but do we see him get a podium throughout the series?
Uh, I'm going to say, go out on a limb and say yes. He was never better than his rookie year on the factory Kawasaki
Mhm.
and Supercross. And I know he got hurt at the Supercross season, and I don't recall what happened outdoors. I just remember tail end of the Supercross season, he had a big one. And
Mhm.
maybe he was hurt through outdoors, and then he got dropped. So he was incredible. I mean, he was setting fast laps in Supercross, qualifiers that year and leading and being up front in races. So he likes the bike. That's obvious. And even though it's changed a lot, it's still a Kawasaki and it's the same platform he was on. So I think he's a great pick.
Mhm.
The next one that I kind of was off my radar is AP. So he's not 100% healthy. That's you mentioned on one of the podcasts, his wrist is not 100% strong yet, but I think he might be in cardio shape. He was actually pretty darn good on that Yamaha last year, or was it last year? Whatever, until he looped out and broke his back essentially.
Yeah.
So he might have a little something here and there, maybe as a season builds, just to throw, show flashes of brilliance. And he might be one of those guys that's good at that because he really is a good outdoor rider.
I agree. I think last year it shocked me because he really was off the pace in Supercross in 2021 to take it into 2021 outdoors and run as well as he did, run up front with the Roxons, the Tomacs, the Ferandis of that year. Really impressive. And then when he did loop out and then, he kind of dropped off, he really struggled in Supercross. I mean, I know he got a podium in round 2 in Oakland, but then from then on just really wasn't the same until that injury. I mean, some of these tracks get really beat up and gnarly towards the second motos, and I think that's probably going to kill his overall score if that arm is not healthy. Arm pump is a very real thing, and if you can't hang on to the motorcycle, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how that's going to affect him. But I mean, his teammate Cooper Webb isn't even lining up for this, so
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to just kind of see how all of that goes. I mean, we have Aaron Plessinger, Ryan Dungey, and Kai Rowley. I mean, what in the world is that lineup? That's
what a
just
weird
not
lineup.
We saw coming.
So who do you pick for round 1 win? Just 450s round 1.
I'm going to go with a little bit of a hot take. I'm going to say Chase Sexton. I think he gets it all together and doesn't fall just quite yet. I think, when we get into the later rounds of the season, we're going to see him fall occasionally. He has not shown the ability to get that out of his system. But I'm going to go with Sexton just because I want to see a little bit of parity in there. And I think everybody knows that he has the pace to do it. It's just, can he keep it on 2 wheels and can he get the start? Because if he starts up front or even in that top 3, he can win any race he's in.
I totally agree. So we didn't mention him at all yet, but I think his top end pace is on par or better than anybody. Mm-hmm. We'll just have to see if the starts are there, which they hadn't been last year, but this year in Supercross, they've been pretty good. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pick Kenny round 1. This is what Kenny does. It's what he does.
Maybe.
He's always good. He's good off the couch. He's always fast when he's least expected to, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I also think that it has no sustainability. And I think that I personally think we're going to see exactly what we saw happen in Supercross. Even if he rides really well, I think we're going to see him pull out from the series at some point. Maybe planned. Like, again, I think he's under contractual hell right here. These guys got to earn $1. I think that's what he's doing. So I think he's going to showcase his speed, say I still got it, and then start putting out phone calls with his agent. Maybe. I'm trying to go somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. It's unfortunate, but I don't think anybody would be really surprised if that happened. And funny, none of us mentioned Dylan Ferandis, the reigning champ, to win the first round. He's going to go out and do it now just because we didn't say that and then just totally laugh in our faces. So there's your 450.
My question mark on him is he really won it in the latter part of the motos and the latter part of the season last year. It just looks like he gritted it harder, wanted it more, was more fresh, whatever it was late in the season. I don't think at the very first rounds. I think at the very first rounds, all the excitement's there. Everybody's excited. It's something new. And he's just not going to be the best guy at round 1, even if he has the best speed. He'll probably set fastest lap in the moto. That's what he does. But I just don't think he's going to win round 1. I think some surprise. And frankly, it wouldn't even surprise me. I mean, Caroli is unbelievable talent. So if he went out there and just waxed everybody, I wouldn't even be surprised.
It would be probably the most embarrassing thing in American motocross maybe in 20 years. Just if Caroli comes up after not running great at MXGP and just wins. That would be really embarrassing.
It'd be bad. So,
all right, well, that's your full 450 recap. We do not think that Dylan Ferandis will win the first race, so we're just prepared to now watch that blow up in our faces. But before we do that, let's get to the 250s and introduce that first. So we have a ton of star riders coming off of injury. It was just announced they're pulling up to amateurs. Did you see that announced today?
Yeah, Romano and LeBlanc. So I know, through our business, we've been seeing them and competing with guys against them for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, familiar with him. Last year, Romano was my top kid, Braswell's main competition at Loretta's. But Star's huge, right? They've got just a star-studded lineup of hot young guys and veterans. And you have a little bit of the unknown off the injuries, right? Justin Cooper had a serious one. Supposedly he's not 100%. Levi Kitchen's coming back off injury. Colt Nichols is coming back off injury. So, and then 2 amateur rookies who really unknown. We've never seen them compete against that many fast guys.
Yeah, I don't see the rookies. I don't see like really competing again because it's rookie outdoor national. I mean, maybe top 5 here and there, but they're not going to compete for wins. I don't believe. Colt Nichols coming off, another really bad injury, a kind of a compound one, because he's had some in the past. This isn't a one-time thing. Cooper, I just don't see how he could be fully fit. I know guys in my comments have been flaming me saying, how could you forget about Justin Cooper, which is fine. But I mean, I don't think that he's going to be competitive against Jet Lawrence. Now, Jet is coming off, the ankle injury that he sustained in the last round of Supercross. Honestly, I was a little surprised he didn't do that earlier. I thought he was going to do that with 2 races to go. But really, when I look at the 250s, I think of Jet and Hunter. Hunter Lawrence surprised me last year. He was so good in Supercross. I mean, he was genuinely competitive with Christian Craig towards the end of that year. You could argue that Craig was points racing, but Lawrence on pure pace was much faster than Michael Mosman. He was much faster than Joe Shimoda. I believe he was even better than Austin Fortner towards the end of that 250 East-West showdown.
And let's not forget, he was not slated to race West.
Yes.
And from what I had heard from some pretty good sources, he wasn't even close to ready. So it was like, hey, we need you to go race West. And he's like, dude, I haven't even kicked it into like speed mode yet. Mm-hmm. So his first couple rounds, which they have no break on West, 4 weeks or whatever, he's literally just racing his way into pace. Mm-hmm. So I think had we seen him start East Coast, it would have been the Hunter we saw late in the season, which would have been a whole different championship for Christian Craig had that been the case. Not saying that Craig wouldn't have won. I think you're right. He points raced a little bit, but we would have seen a much more competitive Hunter early on in the season.
My pick, I think I'm going to go with Jet just because he's fast, but that's about a 50-50 shot if he stays on the bike. I'm looking at Pro Circuit Kawasaki. I'm looking at maybe Star, but we talked about them not being super competitive. Who do you think can contend with the Lawrence brothers for this championship?
Realistically, I think the only option comes from Star. You have Justin Cooper, who is now a veteran. He's been at it a long time. He's been a favorite. He should, I'm not going to say should have won a title, but he's definitely up there. Last year, we saw Jeremy Martin challenge Jet, late into the year until he broke his wrist again. So we know the bike's capable from Star. That's part of the whole thing over there. And then, the guys are veterans. Who else could you say? I mean, we have Forkner being a veteran now, but he did show some fight late in Supercross, some improvements and seems to be better, but his top end speed just didn't seem to be quite there. Now outdoors is a whole different ballgame, but it just didn't seem quite there.
Okay, Derek, before we pop off, is there any privateers in either class you think could surprise us this year?
So this is in honor and shout out of an amateur we did some work for years ago, or a rookie named Zane Merritt. He was inside the top 20 a couple motos. In my opinion, was the top true privateer that year in the 250 class. He had some ups and downs late in the year, but was really, really good for a rookie. So the one that's not really a private ride, but we got Ty Masterpool, who I think will, again, he's always had some speed. He's going to be inside the top 10. He gets good starts every single year. Well, I heard you got a new job. If you include any of your viewers in on this?
I did. I'm actually working at Hendrick Motorsports out in Concord, North Carolina. So it's kind of been a dream come true. And, everybody that's watching this made it possible. I mean, I was able to, market my channel as something that helped me get to where I'm at right now. So I can't believe it worked. It's been so much fun to continue to cover this, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to be posting stuff and, trying to do it. We just hit 1,000 subs. So hopefully we'll get monetized here soon and kind of go from there. But if you guys did make it this far in the video, please go give Derek at HB Race Development a shout out. He's preparing guys for Loretta Lynn's, and I just can't wait to see, how those boys do compared to the field because, I mean, dude, your stuff is legit. I think everybody that's watching this that has talked with you knows that. So hopefully you can get some more paying customers showing up to go win some races.
Thanks, man. Yeah, excited about that. We've got a really cool YouTube video dropping here pretty soon called Project Moonshine, and you'll have to come back and check that video out in the near future.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see y'all in the next video.